because this isn't about chasing a trendy cultural zeitgeist. It's about alignment. And when your actions start lining up with what you already know to be true, everything changes. Everything. Not kinda, sorta, maybe-ish, but inevitably, fundamentally, and necessarily. When your body, mind, and spirit triad is aligned with the non-fungible, messy, beautiful reality of life, real life, your superpowers reveal themselves. You can do yoga, Pilates, cross-training, and wear a weighted vest and still ignore the basics that actually move your life forward. Capability, accountability, nutrition, sleep, digital consumption, intoxicants and pharmaceuticals, human connection. Those are the things that move you forward. So to boil it down, when engaged in properly, most fitness regimens are good, but good for whom and for what? So before you jump on the trend train, understand the question isn't, is this trend good? The question is this helping me do the things I already know I should be doing? A child is basically an energy factory. And the mechanisms that it takes for a child to be obese, especially what we're seeing now, we're not seeing little chubby kids anymore. We're seeing catastrophically obese children everywhere. I work with them every day. How often should I work out? And the answer is simple, that there is no one answer for everyone. Bottom line is that consistency matters more than frequency. Part B of that is how long should my workouts be? And most people don't need more time, they need more focus. Most people don't have a knowledge problem, they have an honesty problem. If you're unhappy with yourself, you already know what's wrong. The question is, why aren't you doing anything about it?
4, 3, 2, 1.
Lift off and the clock has started.
Good day to each and every one of you bright, shining souls, wherever you may be, and welcome to Balanced Fit Radio. We're talking about strength, meaning, and the human experience. I'm your host, Scott Schroeder, certified personal trainer and certified nutrition coach with specialties in corrective exercise and performance enhancement. Now, Balanced Fit Radio is where fitness meets psychology, philosophy, and real life, because that's the most important part. True wellness is about more than just the body. It's about balance. Now let's get into it, shall we? And, a little quick story. I was at work the other day and asked my boss for some advice about dressing for success. And he said, dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. So the next day, I went in as Batman. Thank you very much. I'll be here all the week. Please tip your waitresses. Alrighty then, now that we've lowered expectations appropriately, let's get into something useful. If your current fitness plan looks something like watch a bunch of YouTube videos, try random workouts, get confused, and then go eat a sandwich, I might be able to help. The Balanced Fit Blueprint is a 3-session virtual coaching program where we build a training plan designed specifically for you, your goals, your schedule, and your real life. We start with an assessment. I build your custom program. We walk through it together, and then we check in and adjust once you've had time to implement it. It's not a generic workout. It's coaching with intention. If you want a clear plan and a smarter way to train, check out the Balanced Fit Blueprint at balancefitsc.com. Your life, your potential. Most people know exactly what's wrong with their life and ignore it every day. Let's not overcomplicate this. Most people need a bit of guidance on the road, help with their plan, a supportive network of good people to counteract the codependency of unwellness. What they don't need is a new app, a hack, a new program, a new guru, or a new algorithm telling them how to live. They already know. You already know. You know you should get up and move more. You know you should eat a little better, sometimes a lot better. You know you should value sleep more and create a sleep-wake routine. You know you should put the phone down, for God's sakes. You know you should drink more water and less sugary nonsense, less non-water. This is not hidden knowledge locked away in some ancient scroll guarded by monks in the Himalayas. This isn't the Ark of the Covenant. This is basic self-evident truth. So why don't we do it? Because doing it requires aligning ourselves with a few foundational concepts that we pay lip service to, but not much more these days. Accountability, responsibility, and discomfort. You can't run away from these. You can't escape. This is our burden to bear as human beings. But we shelter ourselves from our burden by shifting the focus outward, saying victim words like guilt, shame, and perfection. Well, guilt and shame are emotions that generate internally. No one else can make you feel guilty or ashamed of something you are or aren't. And no one anywhere is demanding perfection from you in life. Just responsibility. The quiet, unsexy, everyday decisions to do the things you already know you should do, even when you don't feel like it. And here's where it gets interesting. We don't ignore these things because we don't care. We care deeply. If we didn't, there wouldn't be a wellness, fitness, and fat loss industrial complex that rivals the War Department for revenue velocity. We ignore them because we've gotten really good at negotiating with ourselves. I'll start Monday. I've had a long day. I deserve this. I'll make up for it later. I don't have time. I'm good enough. Everyone on earth feels those things. You're not special. You're bargaining. And every time you win that argument with yourself, you lose a little ground. Now, here's the good news, because there is good news. The vast majority of you don't need a complete overhaul of your life starting tomorrow at no a.m. with a beet and Nile mud smoothie and a vision board. You need to stop ignoring the one thing you already know matters: accountability for yourself. That's it. Because this isn't about chasing a trendy cultural zeitgeist. It's about alignment. And when your actions start lining up with what you already know to be true, everything changes. Everything. Not kinda, sorta, maybe-ish, but inevitably, fundamentally, and necessarily. When your body, mind, and spirit triad is aligned with the non-fungible, messy, beautiful reality of life, real life, your superpowers reveal themselves. Not some movie fantasy, but a real human hero. Good parent, good boss, good teammate, good friend. Strong, capable, reliable. And that's where we're going to live today. In reality, not fantasy. All right, so if that's the idea, let's see what the world is trying to sell you this week. So in fitness headlines, you know how I love trends. Trending this week and lately in fitness, we have among the various things: yoga, Pilates, cross-training, weighted vest. That's what's trending now. That's a conglomeration of the headlines. That's what's going on out there. And I mean, look, none of these are bad, of course. In fact, these are really useful tools, but tools are not solutions. You can do yoga, Pilates, cross-training, and wear a weighted vest and still ignore the basics that actually move your life forward. Capability, accountability, nutrition, sleep, digital consumption, intoxicants and pharmaceuticals, human connection. Those are the things that move you forward. But I do, however, want to focus on one of these from this list that I believe is most beneficial to the most people across the broad spectrum of existence, and that's cross-training. Now, the vast majority of you will benefit most in this sector of fitness because the vast majority of you do not need to be bodybuilders. You don't need to be power lifters. You're not competitive athletes. You're people who need to be strong, healthy, well, capable, prepared, resilient, all those fundamental, foundational things that make up a well-rounded, well-balanced, capable human being. So, first of all, what exactly is cross-training? In its fundamental sense, cross-training is the practice of engaging in varied, non-specific exercises, such as swimming, cycling, or strength training, to complement a primary sport. And cross-training enhances overall fitness, prevents overuse injuries, reduces muscle imbalances, and allows athletes to maintain cardiovascular conditioning while resting specific muscle groups. Now, that's the definition that you're going to get for cross-training for athletics. But for most of the human race who are not competitive athletes, we can define this as a multidiscipline or even non-discipline specific fitness. And this is where I'd like for you to live. In this space where we're not overloading, overusing, or overemphasizing anything. We're training across a broad spectrum of fitness to make ourselves that capable, resilient, functional, ready person. So I encourage you to engage in strength training. I encourage you to engage in HIIT. I encourage you to engage in a little bit of bodybuilding, a little bit of hypertrophy. Let's not use the term bodybuilding specifically because that's a sport, that's a discipline, but let's talk about hypertrophy, building muscle mass. Extra muscle mass benefits you in a lot of different ways that have nothing to do with flexing in a mirror or being a bodybuilder, standing on stage and showing off what you've done. More muscle mass helps you be stronger. More muscle mass helps your body digest food better. It uses nutrients more efficiently. It obviously creating muscle mass counteracts sarcopenia. So later in life, once you get past your 40s specifically and on into your 50s, adding muscle mass or at least trying to maintain muscle mass through hypertrophy is going to benefit you. It's going to benefit your health in a number of ways. It's going to benefit your endocrine system. It's going to benefit your bone density. It's going to benefit lots of different things. So yes, engage in strength training and hypertrophy. So within strength training, the different disciplines or different aspects of strength training, whether it's max power, max strength, max hypertrophy, max endurance, take the peaks, take the crests off of those, kind of bring it down into something that's more level, that you're engaging in all of those things. Periodization is what they call that as you go through that spectrum. So you don't need to worry about all that stuff. Just do things like go through a bit of a cycle where you increase the amount of weight that you can lift. Go through a cycle where you increase your hypertrophy. Go through a cycle where you increase your endurance through strength training. And while you're doing this, engage in cardiovascular activities, running, walking, on the higher velocity end of it, HIIT training. All of these things are going to help you. Swim, ride a bike, train for OCR races. You know, you're crawling in the mud and swinging on things and running and doing all that kind of stuff. So, in fact, you can think of OCR as one segment of one little example of cross-training. Hey, real quick before we continue, if your current training plan is basically random workouts and good intentions, the Balanced Fit Blueprint might help. It's a 3-session virtual coaching program where we build a clear, personalized training plan for you. BalancedFitSC.com. All right, let's get back to it. So let's take it out of the trend world and make it self-engendering. Make it a thing that you do. It's not a trend. It's a thing that you do. It's part of your background operating system. So that's part of the headlines I wanted to talk about there and pull cross training from out of that, because as I said, I think most of you are going to benefit from a version of cross training where you're doing things for your health, wellness, and fitness across the board, across a bunch of different things. And plus it's going to do things like keep you from getting bored with an exercise regimen. It's going to reduce stress on soft tissues. This is the kind of thing that's probably going to be most beneficial to the most people. So I encourage that. So to boil it down, when engaged in properly, most fitness regimens are good, but good for whom and for what? So before you jump on the trend train, understand the question isn't, is this trend good? The question is this helping me do the things I already know I should be doing? Think of your goals in these tiers. And I borrowed this, by the way, full attribution. I borrowed this because I heard this in the not too distant past from Clint Bruce, who's the founder of Trident Response Group. And so I wanted to make sure I credited that. But I like this, and I think that we can take that. We're all derivative of everybody around us. If we're not learning from other people and using the tools that they give us, then what are we doing here? Anyway, think of your goals in these tiers: limited, capable, athletic, and elite. Which one of those, where do you want to reside? And I don't think anybody wants to reside at limited. So if you are at limited, that's where we need to get you into training to bring you up to one of these other tiers, which is capable. And we all know how I feel about capable. And that's, again, you need to determine what this is within your lifestyle. You need to figure this out, figure out your goals, figure out your lifestyle, because you don't necessarily need to train for Spartan races. You don't necessarily need to train for powerlifting. You just need to be ready. You need to be prepared. You need to be capable. You need to engage, or you need to fulfill your responsibilities, execute your responsibilities, and engage in the activities that bring you authentic joy for your full, rich life, to fully engage and fully nurture the body, mind, and spirit. So where do you need to be? Let's get away from limited. Let's get to capable at least. Do you want to be athletic? Maybe you do want to compete in Spartan races. I do. I love it. It's fun. It fulfills me. I love it. Elite. Most of us don't need to be at elite, and that can be stressful to the body. But if you are in a vocation, or if you're looking to join the military and you want to do something in special operations or in law enforcement, or how about this, an EMT, a firefighter, need to be dragging bodies and hoses and things like that up and down ladders and stairwells. Yeah, I'd like for you to be elite, and you should want to be elite too. So figure out what tier you want to exist on, figure that out, and do your work there. Moving on to headlines: nutrition and weight management. Scientists discover hidden brain switch that tells you to stop eating. Oh, good. We found another button to push so we don't have to take responsibility for our actions. Guys, if you're relying on a hack instead of a habit, this hack culture is ridiculous. You're going to be right back where you started. I think I have this pulled up over here. Yes. I'm going to skim this. The summary of this article from Science News is dated April 6, 2026, from the University of Maryland. Your brain's stop eating signal may come from an unexpected source. Researchers found that astrocytes, once thought to just support neurons, actually play a key role in controlling appetite. Blah, blah, blah. Y'all don't want me to read this. You don't care. The point is that they seem to have claimed to have discovered a hidden brain switch that tells you to stop eating. Well, by the way, your body already has mechanisms that regulate hunger and satiety. Satiety being the feeling of being full. These are hormones. They're called ghrelin and leptin. And this isn't new. We've known about these for a very, very long time. And as I said, they're hormones. Ghrelin is produced in the stomach, and it lets you know when you're hungry, when you should eat, when you need fuel, so that your body doesn't shut down, so that you can perform. And then leptin is the opposite of that. And this is actually produced in the fat cells. It's your satiety hormone. It tells you, it's your signal that tells you when to stop eating, when you're full, when you've had enough. You've got enough. Your energy stores are good. And these are autonomic activities, the drive to feed yourself so you can function, and to stop eating when you've had sufficient nourishment. They're regulated by the hypothalamus. Your brain is trying to regulate your energy stores through signals to glands, inducing hormone release. And it turns out that, surprise, surprise, like I said, this isn't new information. We've known about this for a long time. But what is new is how modern food, air quotes if you're listening on podcasts, food tricks the system and turns it off. Similar, like I said, to insulin resistance. And of course, as it turns out, a high sugar, high fat diet disrupts this system. It disrupts the hypothalamus's ability to send the signals to the various parts of the body through the pituitary and on down into lower hormone producing areas that will tell you when you're full. And this is how GLP-1s work. So, incidentally, also not a new thing. You may recognize the term glucagon-like peptide 1. You may not recognize that term, glucagon-like peptide 1, but you probably do recognize GLP-1. Well, the body produces that on its own. It doesn't need help with that. Anyway, moving on. Another headline, early weight gain is linked to lifelong health consequences. Yeah. Let's see. From Lund University, April 11th, 2026, again in Science Daily. Putting on weight earlier in life may be more dangerous than previously thought. Researchers found that early adulthood obesity significantly raises the risk of premature death, especially from major diseases like heart disease and diabetes. The longer the body carries excess weight, the greater the damage appears to be, increasingly cancer risk in women, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, once again, this isn't new. We know this already. Why? And this goes back to the whole theme of this episode is that you already know. Why aren't you doing something about it? And why does this matter? Because habits don't just affect today. They build trajectories. And that's the wellness slope we talk about. This is it. Early patterns become default settings. And the longer they run, the harder they are to change, which is why if you're listening to this right now, you need to know it's not too late. And this is the headline is early weight gain is linked to lifelong health consequences. Well, they talk about it in terms of adulthood, but look around at the kids. And a child is basically an energy factory. And the mechanisms that it takes for a child to be obese, especially what we're seeing now, we're not seeing little chubby kids anymore. We're seeing catastrophically obese children everywhere. I work with them every day. I see them, groups of them coming in. Kids are now, it's about 80% of kids in these groups are not only extremely obese, but they can't move. They have no body control because they're not doing anything most of the day. And a fat kid, a chubby kid is not cute. It's not something adorable. It's not something that, oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? Oh, he's a little chubby kid. No. This is the catalyst for disease and early death. All right, let's bring this down to your real life. Here are a few listener questions regarding these topics. First one off the bat, I get this. I'm going to conglomerate a lot of these because I get a lot of similar questions. So if you ask this, shout out to you. How often should I work out? And the answer is simple, that there is no one answer for everyone. Sorry, you might think that's a cop-out, but it's true. It just is true. The bottom line is that consistency matters more than frequency because consistency builds habits and increases work capacity over time. Consistency beats frequency. So it doesn't matter if it's 2 days or 5 days. If you can't sustain it, if you're trying to work out 5 or 6 days a week and you can't sustain it, it doesn't matter. You're going to quit or you get injured and then quit. So start where you can win and build from there. That's how habits and capability are built. But you can probably, for most people, you can probably be somewhere in the 3 or 4 day a week range of. Now, the question is, how often should I work out? So that's different, a little bit of a different realm than exercise. If I'm going to get pedantic about this. So we're talking about working out. If we're talking about focused, intense exercise, whether it's resistance training or cycling or running, whatever, swimming, whatever, you need recovery from that. I would recommend for most people, once again, as we talked about cross training, I would recommend for most people that you do 3 days a week-ish, 45 minutes-ish, something like that of total body training. to include stretching and warming up, to include activation, to include core, to include stability exercises and strength training exercises with a cool down. That's what I recommend. And I recommend that your strength training be total body. If you, once again, if you're not a bodybuilder, if you are worried about, okay, well, you're going to get lost in the weeds if you got to build a calendar around, okay, upper body, lower body, or even if it's more complex than that. Okay, today I'm going to do chest and triceps, and then we're going to do shoulders and back, and then we're going to do biceps and arms, and then we're going to, that just really bogs you down, and most of you don't need it. You need, for the strength training part, total body strength training, and there's a lot of good exercises for that where you can do compound exercises, so you're not doing 6 different lifts to do your total body strength training. So once again, consistency matters more than frequency, but one day a week, while, hey, any movement, any exercise is good, one day a week's probably not going to do much for you. So like I said, 3-ish days a week, 45 minutes-ish per session of focused intensive training, complemented by walking or running, an active rest day, and then your actual rest days. So that's about it. I could go on and on and on about that, but I think that's a pretty good summation. And so kind of the part B of that is, how long should my workouts be? Kind of touched on that where I said 45 minutes-ish. Most of us don't have hours and hours a day to spend in the gym. So workouts don't need to be long. Shorter, consistent, higher intensity sessions are really often more effective than longer sessions. You don't need to kill yourself for 90 minutes or 2 hours in the gym. Focus on what you're doing. You can get great work in 20 to 30 minutes if you actually work. And most people don't need more time, they need more focus. And I want to bring this up because when I go to a gym, I do most of my stuff at my home gym where I train my clients, but when I go to a gym, the thing that I see that bugs me the most is not people not cleaning up after themselves or, acting like jackasses or flexing in mirrors or whatever. It's getting lost in their phones. Focus, man. Put your damn phone away somewhere. Put your earbuds in. Listen to a podcast or some music. Stop that 11th rep. They call it the 11th rep. The microsecond you re-rack the weights or put the dumbbells down or finish with the machine, boom, bending the elbow and up comes the phone. And then you sit there. I watch these people. You sit there for like 11 minutes doom scrolling TikTok. In the meantime, speaking of tick-tock, 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 your clock is ticking away, your time is going away, and the benefit of the lift that you just did is going away because you're not maximizing time under tension. That's not that big of a factor, but it is important. So my God, man, focus. Put your phone away. And here's a good one. And I like this one because it's worthy of answering. Will lifting weights make me bulky? Yes, if you lift weights intensely for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and inject yourself with hormones, sure. For the most of us, no. And I think this question comes particularly from women. Women want to engage in strength training, but often the thing that holds them back the most is the fear of getting bulky or jacked or ripped or all that thing. Some women want that, and hey, more power to you, but most don't. So first of all, ladies, you don't have the requisite amount of testosterone flowing through your body in order to make yourself bulky. You need help with that. External help with that. So no, don't worry about it. But this is a common beginner concern. And once again, the answer is no. And not unless you're actively trying. You got to be eating a ton of protein, training for it over a long period of time. But what you need to know is that strength training makes you stronger, more capable, and more resilient. It does not accidentally turn you into a bodybuilder. That's like worrying you'll accidentally become a marathon runner because you went for a jog. So it's just not going to happen in the regular course of normal training. All right, here's today's summary. You don't need more information. It's information overload out there anyway, and a big chunk of it is space filler nonsense, and a bunch of it doesn't apply to you in your life anyway. What you need a little bit more of is honesty from information sources and yourself. So pick one thing you already know matters and stop ignoring it this weekend. That's it. Not everything, not forever. Just start there. Well, thank you very much for spending time with me today on Balanced Fit Radio. If this conversation resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need it. Please don't forget to do all the like and subscribe things, rate, share, review, all that kind of stuff, because it helps greatly. So let me leave you with this thought for today. Fitness is not about the weight you lose or the muscles you build. It's about the life you gain. Until we meet again, be capable and resolute and move through life with a sense of purpose. Train to be the right kind of dangerous. And remember, your life, your potential. Peace out, homies, and I'll see y'all next time.